Yeah, me again, 2 seconds later. What I want to talk about today is self-esteem. And one of the toughest things to do in our lives is to try and balance how we feel inside and what we have on the outside. How we feel about ourselves and what we think other people think of us. It's a really tough balance. And within that balance, you're trying to stand and be solid and grow and learn. There's just so much going on when you're a teen or a young adult. There's so much growth and so much of your personality that is forming, and you're trying to figure out who you are. So talking about self-esteem, that's kind of the focus, is that we need to figure out what our insides are so that we can learn to reflect that to our outsides rather than having two parts. We don't just have the inside and the outside fighting with each other because sometimes they just don't match. We want to find our insides and who we are and have that reflect to the outside so that we don't have to fight back and forth. So that's what I kind of want to focus on today. One of the verses I chose is Psalm 46:5, if you want to look it up. But what it's basically saying in there is that God is in her heart and that she is strong and solid and immovable. And he's going to lead her through to dawn, which means he's leading her through the darkness. That's where our inner person begins, is within our heart. That's what we need to grow first, and that's what we need to realize first. What's inside of our heart? What is really down deep in there that makes us who we are? Because, we can put on these facades and we can step out into public and act a certain way because that's what we think is expected. But who are we really? And that's actually what this verse is talking about, is stepping into there. God is in there. God has always been in there. And she's immovable. She's solid. And that's what we want to create in our own lives. That's where self-esteem comes from. We can, as we grow and we learn and we become who we know we are, we become more solid and more immovable in that person. That constant argument between outside and inside is what lowers our self-esteem, because the people around us will say things or they'll look at us a certain way, and it causes us to feel like we have to live up to a specific expectation. If we know what's in our hearts and we know who we are in our hearts, it removes that expectation. We no longer worry about that quite so much. And who we are on the inside begins to change who we are on the outside. And what we reflect into the world is what people begin to see. So we have to start with that heart. The next one that I picked was Proverbs 31:25 through 26. Basically what they're saying is who we are is not physically on the outside, which is what I've just been saying. It's really hard when you're young and you've been through a lot of things and you've had people say things to you that have damaged you. I grew up, I remember one thing my mom said to me that just totally, it's a tiny little thing, but it damaged me for a long time. She said that I would be absolutely beautiful if you just cut the tip of my nose off. That, for the longest time, made me worry about my friggin' nose. Here it is on my face. I have to wear it. It's the first thing that people see. It's the one thing I tried to hide. I used to wear my hair down all the time and towards my face to try and hide everything. She made me so self-conscious about the way that I looked and the way that people saw me that it damaged me for a long time. I was very insecure. So I started searching for people who would accept me the way that I looked, even though I thought I was damaged. And it made me grab the wrong people. So when I finally learned to reflect from my heart and finally figured out who I was, despite my nose, it changed my entire world, so to speak. I started to become more secure. I could actually walk in somewhere and not have to have people around me, my self-esteem grew. And through that, my confidence grew. And as my confidence grew, then it didn't matter where I was or what I was doing. That reflected into the world around me. People started to come to me and collect around me because I don't want to put it this way, but I glowed. It's like I attracted all of this positive energy because I finally was learning to be positive about myself. And that's what your self-esteem does for you. So what we need to work on getting done to grow our self-esteem is, one, build our person from the inside so that it will begin to reflect on the outside and change the way that people view us. What that will do is help us to realize that it'll help us to realize that that's who you are. Your physical body is not who you are. And then too, as people come at us with these words, like my mom about my nose, it will help us to realize that what they're saying about us says more about their insecurities and having to have someone with them or lower than them. It says more about that than it does about us. Because this could change. I could have the tip of my nose cut off. I can go have surgery. My mom offered it to me. But this is who I am. This is who God made me to be. This is what I was meant to look like. Everything, all the scars that I have on my body were all meant to be there to create this one person that you see right now. Physically see. My heart will never change. That is built strong. It is immovable. It is who I am, and it continues to reflect into the world around me. So, as you're actually looking at me now you notice my nose because I pointed it out. But my confidence and the person that I am and stepping out here in front of you and into this point with you, that's all my self-esteem. That's all comes from who I've built inside of me and gives me the courage and the confidence to step forward like this. And it removes the expectation of who's on the other side of the screen. What are they going to think of my bangs, my hair, my nose, everything. It removes all of those expectations and it opens me up to continue to talk. And I know that being behind a camera and not actually seeing you looking at me seems a bit easier. But then again, you could be sitting in your homes and saying all kinds of things about me. This could be the next viral video of someone making a fool of themselves. There's all kinds of expectations that get laid on to people when they start to step forward in front of the camera or out from in front of the camera. That's what you need to remove. And when you build that heart inside of yourself and you start to build that person inside of yourself that is held right there in your heart, and it becomes strong and immovable, this doesn't matter anymore. You start to reflect into the world and your world begins to change. Your confidence begins to change and your self-esteem begins to grow. And that's what I pray for you this week, is that you find your heart and that you find out who you are in your heart and you start to grow and you become immovable in who you are and that you become stronger, so that your self-esteem and your world can begin to change and reflect who you are. In Jesus' name, I pray that for you. And as always, and you'll find this out, believe and make it so. Thank you.